Ever wondered why being alone feels so boring and sometimes even painful? Like the moment there's silence, your brain starts screaming. And why it seems like you need someone around you to just not feel empty. But here's the truth. Being alone doesn't have to feel that way. It can actually become the time you're most clear and focused. But to turn boredom into focus and solitude into progress, you first have to understand those 4 things I'm going to tell you now. The 2 reasons why being alone feels so shit right now, and the 2 steps how to fix it. And if you don't know me yet, my name is Lawrence, and I quit social media about 2 years ago. And since that, my whole life completely changed. Before I stopped, I got all my dopamine from cheap sources, like scrolling, junk food, also smoking weed, stuff like that. And after I stopped, I got my dopamine from healthy sources, like going to the gym, learning the piano, working on my own business, making my first money online, and stuff like that. And it really completely changed my life. But now let's get into the video. But before turning your alone time into progress, you first have to understand why being alone feels so shit right now. And there are 2 reasons for that. The first one is that you are probably overstimulated. Just means that you are probably scrolling pretty much. And what that does is it gives you cheap dopamine. You probably also heard of dopamine, but I'll just explain it in a really simple way now. So dopamine is the thing that gives you motivation. It gives you motivation to move, to do pretty much anything. You have this dopamine baseline, so this base motivation when you're doing nothing, how motivated you are to do anything, to go out of bed and so on. And when you're doing something really stimulating, like for example watching TikTok, it gets you really motivated to do that because it's something that gives you a high stimulation but with pretty much no effort. So your dopamine goes up, there's a spike, and then it goes down again, normal. But then the baseline is not here anymore, but it is lower. And that just means you are less motivated to do stuff. And maybe if you are less motivated to do stuff, you feel shit, and then you start scrolling again, you have another peak, but your baseline goes even lower. And that's how overstimulation is taking away your dopamine, if you want to say it like that. And what that does is that it makes your alone time feel way more boring than it has to be. Because now you're used to just being stimulated. And if you now want to do something that's not as stimulating, like maybe you like to draw normally, but now you're overstimulated, your dopamine is fucked up, and now you're not even motivated to, like, let's say draw as an example, and now you can't get your dopamine from a healthy source. That was the first reason why being alone feels so uncomfortable and boring. But the second reason goes a bit deeper. It's that you probably don't really have something else to do. And if you don't have anything else to do at home, of course it's logical for you to do something else. And the easiest thing you can do is to scroll. I mean, that's just the path of least resistance. And that way you don't have to do anything. You can just be passive all the time. And for many people, that's the root cause why they are really scrolling. Of course, those apps like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, all that stuff, of course it's designed to keep you hooked, to make it as easy as possible for you to waste hours on the app. But the root cause why you're even searching that stimulation is often just that you don't have anything else to do. Like, for example, at home, you could play an instrument, but if you don't have a hobby at home or a hobby in general, then of course the time you spend alone feels somehow a bit uncomfortable because, of course, you don't have anything to do. And what do when you don't have anything to do? You pull out your phone and start scrolling. And that gets you into overstimulation. And then because of overstimulation, you're not motivated to actually search for something else, something better to do. And that's this consumption cycle that keeps you passive instead of active, doing something, learning something, doing something productive that gets you into the direction you want your life to go. So these were the 2 reasons why being alone feels so meaningless, boring, and uncomfortable. And because now we know the reason for you feeling bad when you are alone, we can actually start fixing it. And there are also 2 steps how to fix this problem. You now know that the consumption cycle comes from you having nothing to do and then going to overstimulation. And because you're now overstimulated, you don't have the motivation to actually get something to do. And then we're here again at you have nothing to do. That's just this cycle. And to really break this cycle, we don't just try to fix one reason, like our screen time, because if we don't have anything to do, it is so easy to just get back into this cycle. So the way we are going to fix this is that we fix both reasons at the same time. So our screen time and having nothing to do. So the first angle from which we are going to fix this problem of overstimulation and feeling bored and shit alone is that we are going to reduce our screen time. On reducing your screen time, there are of course many videos on that also on my channel. And yeah, some basic advice I can give you right now is, for example, just turn off your notifications. Of course, that's a really basic advice, but if you haven't done it already, that's the advice you need. Because these notifications, these are the things that get you to start scrolling often. And the problem is often not that you don't stop after half an hour of scrolling, but the problem is that you go on an app without even realizing that you go on those apps. You probably also know these moments. Like for me, back in my scrolling days, I often had those moments where I was scrolling for half an hour and I didn't even realize how I got on the app. And notifications are one way how those apps, like for example Instagram, when a friend of you sends you a reel or something, that's how these companies get you into the app and get you to waste your time on it. So turning off your notifications is really this no-brainer thing because it's so easy. It takes like 1 minute, 2 minutes and saves you hours in the future. It's really worth it and pretty much a no-brainer if you want to fix this problem of overstimulation, consumption cycle, and actually want to get active in life, want to learn stuff, do stuff, and not just sit around and scroll. Another point would be to make it harder for you to go on those apps. For example, an app I use is OneSec. So it's this thing that gives you a bit more friction to go into the app. So when you go into TikTok or Instagram or whatever, then this screen pops up. It shows you how often you open the app or try to open it. Yeah, that's also something because all those apps, of course, they try to make it as frictionless as possible for you to go on the app and to start scrolling because they know, okay, their algorithms are so good that you are spending much time on those apps. So they try to make it as frictionless as possible for you to get into those apps. And with an app like, for example, OneSec, or probably there are also other apps out there, you can just get a bit more friction in. You can make it a bit harder to go on those apps. And that would be 2 ways how you could decrease your screen time and fix this problem. But of course, there are many videos out there that go a bit deeper into those problems. And if you want to know all the stuff that worked for me, you can also click on the link in the description. Yeah, so decreasing your screen time is the one thing you are going to focus on to try to break this consumption cycle. And the other thing, which we talked about, was you don't have anything to do. So now we try to get you to do something active, something in the real world that gives you a healthy source of dopamine. And actually replacing this scrolling with something active, a healthy source of dopamine, is essential for breaking this cycle. Because if you just try to reduce your screen time but you don't have anything else to do, of course it's hard. Because if you don't have anything to do, what are you going to do? You'll probably start scrolling again. So now we're trying to get you to get something active, a healthy source of dopamine in your life. And that's just more or less, it's just choosing something and then starting with it. Even if it's hard, but just taking this step, even if it first feels a bit uncomfortable. So for me, it was playing the piano. So I also tackled the problem of being in this consumption cycle from both angles. So I tried to reduce my screen time, but I also then started to play the piano and do stuff, or just go outside with my e-bike and cruise around. So that you just do something. I mean, it doesn't have to feel really special at first. It doesn't have to be easy at first. I know it from my own experience. When you're really in this consumption cycle, then pretty much doing anything is hard. To do a few push-ups consistently, even that was hard for me. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth it. So like I said, for me it was playing the piano. That was around the time when I also decreased my screen time a bit. And then I thought, yeah, okay, why not just play the piano? I think it's cool when someone can play an instrument and can play the piano. So I just asked my grandfather if I could have his old keyboard, and then he said, yeah, of course. And then I started playing. And also at the time I just replaced my screen time with just going out, taking walks or driving around with my e-bike, just doing something. It doesn't have to be special or anything. Just either look for something you think is really cool, like a skill, an instrument, going to the gym, anything. Or if you don't have any idea into that direction, then just do something, just go outside, something like that. Just replace it. Like I said, more or less it's just finding something to do and then actually doing it. So now a short summary of the video. We've learned why being alone often feels so boring and feels so uncomfortable and so on. And the two reasons were that you are probably overstimulated, so that you are scrolling too much, and that you don't have anything else to do to replace this scrolling with. And that builds this consumption cycle of you not having anything to do. So you go to scrolling and being passive, consuming. And then because you're consuming and overstimulated, you're not motivated to actually do something else. So it's just this consumption cycle that keeps you trapped. And what we said, how to fix it, is to not just try to reduce our screen time, but to actually go at the problem from both angles of getting something to do and reducing our screen time, to really break this consumption cycle and set you free. And if you want to go a bit deeper into the topic of finding something else to do, because that's one of the essentials of breaking this consumption cycle, then I have a whole video on that, on this 3-step process of how to actually find what you can do and then actually start doing it. So I hope you took something out from this video, and bye.